Good morning. Welcome back to our geography presentation series during the coronavirus pandemic. For those of you coming for the first time, my name is Gary LeFort. I'm president of Business and Government Services, a small consultant firm in Hamden, Massachusetts. I'm also a retired associate professor from the American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. Today, what we're going to do is go over the last test, Test 20. We'll go over the answers. Last week, I gave you the questions. And as I said before, in developing these tests, I try not to just look at one region of the world, but different regions of the world. And I'd like to have you take a look at this chart that kind of refresh your memory as to what those regions are. Each one I tried to incorporate in the presentation. As you can see, there's 6 regions of the world. 1 is the Americas. 2 is Europe. 3 is the Russian Federation, which really isn't a region within itself. It's one country, but it's in a very large country in relation to the world as a whole. So consequently, I have it stand out as its own region. The 4th region is Asia. The 5th region is Sub-Saharan Africa. It's all those countries below the Sahara Desert, hence its name, Sub-Saharan Africa. And the last region, the 6th region, is the Middle East, sometimes referred to as the Arab world, that has countries on the northern part of the continent of Africa, generally referred to as Northern Africa, and the rest of the countries are in Southwest Asia. With that orientation, let's go into the answers to Geography Test 20. It will be the last test in the presentation series, Geography Test number 20. Question 1. On January 1st, 1993, Czechoslovakia peacefully dissolved itself as a country and created what 2 present-day countries? The answer is the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Both are in Eastern Europe. Question 2. What is the official status of the State of Palestine in the United Nations, abbreviated UN, in terms of its recognition as an independent country? Currently, it is listed as a non-member observer state. It has been able to get the 2/3 majority vote of the General Assembly to be recognized as an independent state. But it also needs the approval of the Security Council of the United Nations as well. And so far, it has not been able to do that. It is required to have 9 votes out of 15. And the last time it was voted, there was 9 countries were not in favor, at least at that time. So its current status is a non-member observer state. There's only one other country that has that same status, and that is Vatican City in Rome. Question 3. Name the capital in the following countries. Answer. Antigua in Barbuda is a country in the Lesser Antilles of the Caribbean America region in Latin America. Its capital is St. John's. Burkina Faso is a country in Western Africa. Its capital is Ouagadougou. Burundi is also a country in Africa. It's in Eastern Africa. Its capital is Gitega. Equatorial Guinea is in Africa too. It's in Central Africa, sometimes called Equatorial Africa because the equator goes through the region. Its capital is Malabo. The last country is Samoa. Samoa is a country in the Pacific Ocean. Its capital is Apia. Question 4. In which country would you find Roe River, the world's smallest river, about 201 feet long? It was listed in the Guinness Book of Records, and it is found in the United States in the state of Montana. In the past, it was listed in the Guinness World of Record, but recently, the publisher decided to no longer include the shortest river, so consequently, you won't see it in future editions of the book. But it still is considered today the smallest river in the world. Question 5. Name the 2 countries whose official country name begins with the word the. And the answer is the country of the Gambia and the country of the Bahamas. Question 6. In which country would you find the following historical cultural sites? The answer, East Rendell, is the Solomon Islands. The Gelati Monastery is in the country of Georgia, which is a former Soviet Union republic. Mabza Congo is in Angola, which is in southern Africa. The stone circles of Senegambia is in Senegal in Gambia, 2 countries in western Africa. And the ancient Sakor of Quadain, Chitugeti, Chichet, and Qualata is in the country of Mauritania, which is in western Africa. Question 7. In which hemisphere does the vast majority of people live? And the answer is, well, from previous tests, I had indicated that there's 4 hemispheres in the world. The northern, the southern, the eastern, and the western hemisphere. The majority of the people in the world live in the northern hemisphere, which includes North America, Europe, most of Africa and Asia, and part of South America. Collectively, they represent approximately 90% of the world's population. And the world population today is something like 7.6 billion people. Question 8, where in the world would you find the following countries? Answer, Federated State of Micronesia is in the Western Pacific Ocean. When you talk about the Pacific Ocean, it's generally broken up into 3 islands group: Micronesia, Melanesia, and Polynesia. And the Federated States of Micronesia is in the Micronesia group. Gabon is a country in Central Africa, next to the French Congo and the Belgian Congo, that is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Mauritius is an island in the Indian Ocean. It's east of Madagascar and west of Africa. Tuvalu is an island in west central Pacific Ocean. It is part of the Polynesia group. Vanuatu is an island in the southwestern Pacific Ocean. It is part of the Melanesian group. Question 9. Name the tallest sheer vertical drop on Earth. In which country is it located? The answer is Mount Thor, also called Thor Peak. It's located on Baffin Island, which is in the Nunavut territory of Canada. Question 10. Name the 2 countries in the world without an official capital. What is the de facto capital for each country? First country is Switzerland. They have never really officially designated a capital. Its de facto capital is Bern. And the other country is Nauru. It's an island in the Pacific Ocean. Its de facto capital is Yaren District. Now, before I end Geography Test 20, in reviewing the past tests that we have done, my goal was try to incorporate all the countries of the world. And I found in reviewing the test up to this point that I had not, in fact, included all the countries, at least touched based on them. So I've added 2 additional questions to Geography Test 20, on question 11 and question 12. And I'm also going to provide the answers as well, so there won't be a follow-on presentation to the test that I'm going over today. I'll give you the answers as well today. Again, the intent was to try to cover all the countries in this presentation series, and so these 2 questions try to accomplish that. Question 11. Where in the world would you find the following countries that are member states in the United Nations? The United Nations currently has 193 countries. Up to this point, we have covered 189 in the presentations. In the past, the 4 countries that we did not include were Albania, which is in Eastern Europe. It's next to North Macedonia, Montenegro. Its capital is Tirana. Austria is also in Europe. It's kind of like in the middle of Europe, even though most people would probably associate it with Eastern Europe. On its northern borders, it has the country of Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. Its eastern boundaries, it has countries like Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia. At the end of World War II, Austria did not fall into the hands of the Russian army at the time. And so it remained aligned with the Allies. And so Austria has always been sort of seen during the Cold War days as the gateway country to the Eastern European countries that were under the control of the Soviet Union up until the fall of the Berlin Wall back in the 1989 timeframe. Bulgaria is a country in Eastern Europe. It's next to Turkey, at least that part of Turkey that's on the European mainland, and which would be on the east, and on its west side it has the country of Romania. Its capital is Sofia. And the last country is Colombia. It's a country in Latin America and South America and Pacific. It's up in the northwestern part of the country. On one side it has Venezuela. On its western side, it has Brazil, and on its southwestern side, it has the country of Ecuador. Its capital is Bogota. Question 12. Where in the world would you find the following political states that are not recognized by the United Nations as independent countries? In the presentation, we have touched base on some of these countries. For example, Taiwan would fall into this category. Western Sahara would be another example. Other countries not mentioned in the presentation that I bring up now includes Abkhazia, which is in the country of Georgia, a former Russian republic. It declared its independence from Georgia in 1999. Abkhazia is, like I said, part of Georgia. Georgia has Russia Federation to its north, and to its south it has Turkey and Iran. Another country, or at least a political state, again not recognized by the United Nations, is Kosovo. Kosovo was in the news in the 1990s time frame because of the conflict that was having with Serbia, a former Yugoslavian state. As a result of UN and NATO intervention, it eventually was able to declare its independence in 2008. South Ossetia is a state, again in Georgia, that likewise has declared its independence in 2008. If you notice, both Abkhazia and South Ossetia are part of Georgia. And the reason why they declared their independence is that they have a very, very large Russian majority in their countries. And they have really preferred to be more aligned with the Russian Federation than with the state of Georgia. And in the past, the Russian Federation has been very supportive of both Abkhazia and South Ossetia in declaring their independence. The last political state is the Turkish Republic of North Cyprus. It declared its independence in 1983. From another earlier question in one of our presentations, we talked about Cyprus and the fact that there's two parts to it. There's the northern part and there's the southern part. The northern part has its ties to Turkey. The southern part, the Republic of Cyprus, has its affiliation with the country of Greece. The UN finally ended up stepping in, and as a result of that, the 1983 timeframe, the same time that the Republic of North Cyprus declared its independence, the United Nations recognized the Republic of Cyprus in the south as the member state of the United Nations. So with these two questions added to test 20, we now have touched base on every country in the world today. For those of you that would like to download the questions from this test and past tests as well, you can go to eastlongmeadowweather.org. On this website, you'll also find the answers to each of the tests given so far. And most of the videos that have been recorded have likewise been posted as well. So it's a good source for writing down the questions if you want to pass it on to family members or friends. Now, before we conclude the presentation for today, I would like to go over some of the photos of the historical cultural sites that I mentioned in presentation 20. The first one is the East Rendell Islands, which belong to the Solomon Islands in the Pacific Ocean. It's considered the largest raised coral atoll in the world. In other words, many islands who are just above the surface of the ocean. In this particular case, these islands from coral reef formations rather than volcanic eruptions. The second photo we talked about was the Gelati Monastery, which is in the country of Georgia, or former Russian Republic. It is located in an area called the Kutaisi part of Georgia. It's a medieval Orthodox monastery established in western Georgia. It was founded in 1106 by King David IV of Georgia. It's a UNESCO site as well. Then you have the Mabza Congo in Angola, which is in southern Africa. It dates back to the 15th century. It was the capital of the former Kingdom of Congo during the Kilukeni dynasty. Its major point of interest is the Cathedral of the Holy Savior of the Congo, which was built in 1549, and this is what's left of that cathedral. Then you have the stone circles of the Senegambia, which is in the country of Senegal and Gambia. It consists of 4 groups of stone circles with more than 1,000 monuments running along the river Gambia in Senegal and Gambia for about 350 kilometers. According to this UNESCO site, it's considered the largest collection of stone circles in the world. And then finally, we mentioned the ancient Cursano of Quadain, Chikwugeti, Chichet, and Qualata, which is in the country of Mauritania. It's a country in Western Africa. This dates back to the 12th through 16th century AD. It's an ancient caravan trading route through the Trans-Sahara Desert area. It's kind of like in the last presentation that I gave when I talked about Timbuktu in the country of Mali. This historical site is pretty much along the same lines. It was a location where, as part of traversing the Sahara Desert, you would stop at these different places along the way. And so consequently, it is also a significant cultural and educational center for the Islamic faith. Again, very, very important in the Middle Eastern part in the earlier days of trading. This concludes the presentation as far as the 20 test goes. What I'd like to do on this chart now is sort of give you the highlights of what we've been able to cover in the 20 geography test. Number 1, we have covered the 193 member states in the United Nations, the 2 non-member observer states, like the state of Palestine and Vatican City, and political states not recognized by the United Nations. For example, Taiwan would be one example, Kosovo would be another, Tibet, West Sahara, and several others that I've mentioned during the presentation. In terms of territories of countries around the world, for example, like the United States, you've got Puerto Rico, which is a territory of the United States. We ended up covering 15 territories of different countries around the world. As far as capitals of the world, we covered 94 capitals of countries around the world. Question number 4, countries with a population greater than 100 million. We mentioned the 14 countries in the presentation. 5 largest countries in the world by land mass. The first one obviously being Russia Federation. That's why I included, because of its size, as one of the regions of the world. Number 6, World historical and cultural sites and global points of interest, we covered 95. Not only in terms of historical sites, points of interest would be things like Vulcan Point, Point Nemo, would be the Bermuda Triangle, would be some additional examples of points of interest. Number 7, we covered geographical terms like the Benelux countries, the United Kingdom, consisting of 4 countries, the former Yugoslavian republics, the 15 republics that declared their independence when the Soviet Union collapsed, the former Yugoslavia that broke up into 6 states when the Soviet Union collapsed, the Baltic states, the Scandinavian countries, the ABC Islands in Caribbean America, the BRIC countries, which are countries that are growing at a rapid rate in the latter part of the 1990s and going into the 21st century, and other interesting geographical terms. There just isn't enough time to go over them. But I wanted to give you an idea of some of the things that we've been able to cover. Number 8, we covered the continents of the world, major oceans and seas of the world, the largest islands, rivers, lakes, volcanoes, peninsulas, deserts, and seaports around the world, and major religions of the world, major spoken languages of the world, and other geographical facts. Number 9, we also spent some time talking about global locational information in terms of latitudes, longitudes, the Earth circles in hemispheres, the international date line, and time zones. So you can see we have really covered a lot of the world that we live in. You can bring it over to me now. Well, this concludes our presentation series on world geography. As I said before, it started in late April, and we're just finishing it up in early August. We have covered 20 tests over that time. In the last chart, I gave you an idea of how broad base it was. As the presentation series comes to an end, hopefully you have gained that global perspective that I wanted you to have, that you have an idea of where every country of the world is located. You've also had an opportunity to develop your own bucket list of places that you would like to see in the foreseeable future. I hope that during this presentation series that you did have a map and was able to plot these different locations as we went through the series. That would certainly reinforce that global perspective that I would like you to have. Thank you very much for coming. Be safe, and stay healthy.